Welcome to our open book. Hi there, Rhonda. Hi there, Darlene, Carla, Diana Woods, Diana Lynch, David McGirt, David Smith, Mark Kimball, and Wheeler Dorothy Joy. Also, Elise, Madeleine, Marge, SR. You are so funny. Diana Lynch, Marianne. Good to be with everyone. Yes, they won. We were watching with a Patriots fan. Both teams were just under the circumstances terrific. Boy, that was quite a memorable game. Yes, no addition. Hi there, Lucy Fellows. Good to hear from you. So, hi there, Mr. Dickens. Anything happen in the Australian Open today? Weather's a little different. The Open of Dr. Zhivago, which I had not read for a while, is what we're going to read tonight. A blizzard does come into it, okay? I love this. This is the history of this semi-pro baseball team and of the institution where Art Buchwald and other people grew up. Just terrific. Hi there, Carolyn Sargent. So let me read this, and I apologize in advance for my Russian pronunciations.
Oh, no.
Which will be about as good as my French. But, Boris Pasternak's Dr. Zhivago. They walked and sang Memory Eternal, and whenever they stopped, the singing seemed to be carried on by their feet, the horses, the gusts of wind. Passers-by made way for the cortege, counted the wreaths, crossed themselves. The curious joined the procession and asked, "Who's being buried?" "Zhivago," came the answer. "So that's it, now I see. Not him, her. It's all the same. God rest her soul. A rich funeral." The last minutes flashed by, numbered, irrevocable. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world and those who dwell therein. The priest tracing across through a handful of earth under Maria Nikolaevna, they sang with the souls of the righteous. A terrible bustle began. The coffin was closed, nailed shut, lowered in. Rain of clouds drummed down as 4 shovels hastily filled the grave. Over it, a small mound rose. A 10-year-old boy climbed onto it. Only in the state of torpor and insensibility that usually comes at the end of a big funeral could it have seemed that the boy wanted to speak over his mother's grave. He raised his head and looked around from that height at the autumn wastes and the domes of the monastery with an absent gaze. His snub-nosed face became distorted. His neck stretched out. If a wolf cub had raised his head with such a movement, it would have been clear that he was about to howl, covering his face with his hands. The boy burst into sobs. A cloud flying towards him began to lash his hands and face with the wet whips of a cold downpour. A man in black with a narrow, tight-fitting, gathered sleeves approached his grave. This was the deceased woman's brother and the weeping boy's uncle, Nikolai Nikolaevich Vednayapin. The priest, how was that?
It was excellent.
A priest defrocked at his own request. He went up to the boy and led him out of the cemetery. They spent the night in one of the monastery guest rooms allotted to the uncle as an old acquaintance. It was the eve of the protection. The next day, he and his uncle were to go far to the south to one of the provincial capitals on the Volga. But Father Nikolai worked for a publisher who brought out a local progressive newspaper. The train tickets had been bought, the luggage was tied up and standing in the cell. In the nearby station, the wind carried the plaintive whistling of engines, maneuvering in the distance. Towards evening, it turned very cold. 2 ground-level windows gave onto the corner of an unsightly kitchen garden surrounded by yellow acacia bushes, onto the frozen puddles of the road going past, and onto the end of the cemetery, where Maria Nikolavina had been buried that afternoon. The kitchen garden was empty except for a few more patches of cabbage, blue from the cold. When the wind gusted, the leafless acacia bushes thrashed about as if possessed and flattened by themselves to the road. During the night, Yuri was awakened by a tapping at the window. The dark cell was supernaturally lit up by a fluttering white light in just his nightshirt. Yuri ran to the window and pressed his face to the cold glass. Beyond the window, there was no road, no cemetery, no kitchen garden. A blizzard was raging outside. The Denver Broncos... No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't descend to that. A blizzard was raging outside. The air, I love this phrase, was smoky with snow. One might have thought the storm noticed Yuri, and knowing how frightening it was, reveled in the impression that it made on him. It whistled and howled and tried in every way possible to attract Yuri's attention. From the sky, endless skeins of white cloth, turn after turn, fell on the earth, covering it in a winding sheet. The blizzard was alone in the world. Nothing rivaled it. Yuri's first impulse when he got down from the windowsill was to get dressed and run outside to start doing something. He was afraid now that the monastery cabbage would be buried and never dug out, now that Mama would be snowed under and would be unable to resist going still deeper, farther away from him into the ground. Again it ended in tears. His uncle woke up, spoke to him of Christ, and comforted him, then yawned and went to the window and fell to thinking. I began to dress. It was getting light. When his mother was alive, Yuri did not know that his father had abandoned them long ago, had gone around various towns in Siberia and abroad, carousing and debauching, and that he had long ago squandered and thrown to the winds the millions of their fortune. Yuri was always told that he was in Petersburg, or at some fair, most often the one in Irbit. But then his mother, who had always been sickly, turned out to have consumption.
Tuberculosis. Oh, can I have a little, what? I want to make a little ad.
Of course. Shall I continue?
I just finished this recently, and it is so wonderful. Will you flash it?
Oh, yes.
Everything is tuberculosis. John Green.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. I highly, highly recommend it. It was called consumption. It was called many things.
Yeah. No.
Back to the program.
She began going for treatment to the south of France or to northern Italy, where Yuri twice accompanied her. Thus in disorder and amidst perpetual riddles, Yuri spent his childhood often in the hands of strangers. He changed all the time. He became used to these changes, and in this situation of eternal incoherence, his father's absence did not surprise him. As a little boy, he had still caught that time when the name he bore was applied to a host of different things. There was the ZHIVAGO factory, the ZHIVAGO bank, the ZHIVAGO buildings, a way of tying and pinning a necklace with a ZHIVAGO tie pin, and even some sweet round-shaped cake, a sort of baba room called baba arum.
I don't know.
Called a ZHIVAGO. And one time in Moscow, you could shout to a cabbie, "To ZHIVAGO!" Just like to the devil's backyard. And he would carry you off in his sleigh to a fairy tale kingdom. The quiet park surrounded you. Crows landed on the hanging fir branches, shaking down hoarfrost. Their cawing carried loud as the cracking of a tree limb. From the new buildings beyond the clearing, purebred dogs came running across the road. Lights were lit there. Evening was falling. Suddenly, it all flew to pieces. We were poor. Isn't that affecting?
It is very much so. And is this the beginning of the book?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure I've read it.
I would recommend it. It's a Russian novel, so many characters and hard to follow.
Yes, I love.
Oh wait,
Russian
I
novels.
promise not to do the
That's
accent.
not a.
That's not a. Well, what I'm doing is, of course, I'm imitating all the actors in the movie. You know, like well, Rod Steiger was great in that film, wasn't he? They trust no one. Wait, they trust no one. They can work with me. Yeah. Oh boy, Julie Christie, Omar Sharif, who being Egyptian must have been really cold. You realize where those winter scenes in the movie were filmed? I just
No.
read about this as I was getting Spain.
Really?
Yeah.
The winter scene.
Spain, because of course they weren't making films in Russia in those days. I mean, not Western films, yeah.
Where the rain falls
Mainly on the plain, yeah. The rain. Were we singing that just the other day?
Yes.
Yes, we were. That's what I thought, yeah. All right. So thank you very, very much for being with us tonight. Tomorrow, our friend Don Winslow, who briefly quit being a novelist.
Where's the book? Hold on.
I have it upstairs.
Oh, you have it upstairs. Okay.
Yeah. Final score. Briefly said he was retiring from writing a novel and he's come back with a book of short stories. And let me tell you, they are terrific. The first one, Final Score, it's just wonderful. And his dialogue is great. And we'll really look forward to speaking with him tomorrow. So thanks very much for being with us tonight on our open book.
Stay warm.
Yeah, stay warm, if possible. Take care. See you later. Bye-bye. Off to watch the Seahawks. Seahawks, I should think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you know, we might watch a little of that ourselves. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Take care. Bye-bye.